Okay, hi everyone. I'm Selvi here. Today I'm going to present my proposal briefing. So my topic is the effect of dual layered digital scaffolding in history education. So the scaffolding using the Canva and background as a digital scaffolding on academic performance and engagement of Form 3 students in history learning. So we're going to see the next slide is explaining about the research objective. The objective of the research is we want to determine whether there is a significant difference in the academic performance scores of Form 3 students in history before and after the implement of Canva and background as a digital scaffolding. The second one is we want to evaluate the effect of Canva and background digital scaffolding on behavior and emotional and cognitive engagement among the Form 3 students during the history lesson. And then the third one is we want to analyze the relationship between student engagement level and academic performance after utilizing the Canva and background digital scaffolding. Okay, so we want to see the summary. Okay, the first one is intervention. So dual layered scaffolding we using. So integrate the visual design. Visual design we using the Canva, and then we interact with the students to get the feedback from the lesson. So we using the background to teach 20th century Malayan social economic history. The second one is we using the 30 students from SMK Sungai Karangan, Form 3 students, and then we use the quasi-experimental, that one is a pre-test and post-test. The impact is the absolute percentage point gain in history achievement, test scores following the intervention. Inside, the engagement paradox, a near zero correlation between the high engagement and the final score, restarting not just a student enthusiasm, device academic mastery. So cognitive bottleneck in traditional history education. So first one is instinct overloaded. So 20th century history involves the complex overlapping the socio-politic timeless that overwhelm the working memory. The second one is estrogenous friction, wrote the memorization and text-heavy delivery. Mechanism failed to build the connected narratives. The third one is emotional. So we want to see the resulting of cognitive, behavior, and emotional in critical developments. Okay, so restructuring instruction, pedagogical shift. The first one we're going to see the traditional. So traditional way, mostly we're using the chalk and talk. Mostly the text dominate the textbook. We're using 100% textbook. The mostly we call that with chalk and talk. And then the teachers centralize the teaching. Okay, when we compare with the digital scaffolding, the multiple visual timeless, and then cause effect of infographic. So for example, the Canva. So we're using more to infographic. The infographic is easy to students memorize the notes. And then the second one is participation. Okay, so students mostly passive, and then the abstract of historical concept. They didn't get the 100% of the historical topics. So when we compare with the digital scaffolding, so digital scaffolding is make it that easy after they're using the gamify peer interaction, then immediate formative feedback after they are played with the background, so they can get the immediate feedback for easy to teachers to get the reflection for the topic. And then the third one is cognitive result, surface of level memorization and rapid forgetting. So it's normal in the traditional way when they are study history topic. So we compare with the digital scaffolding, the deep scheme, and then this one, for example, of using Canva to make a graphic. This one is one of my students' presentation using the Canva for the chapter 6. So this kind of the Canva, easy to they memorize the notes. The understanding the topic also they make them to easy. Okay, the next one is a Canva background. This one for example. So the background mostly is assigned by teacher. We can get the feedback from the students in the class. Okay, after they are play with the game. So even though there's a game, but we can the students, if they can answer the questions, it means they understand the topic. Okay, so we can get the immediate feedback for the teaching lesson. Okay, for the theoretical engine powering the intervention, so they have here dual channel processing. So level uh, both visual and verbal channel to actively organize information without overwhelming the learner. So Swalers is using the external digital scaffold to reduce the exogenous load and freeing capacity for the generate knowledge of construction. The third one is Friedrich's model, multidimensional engagement, targeting the behavior, participation, emotional, interest, cognitive, and then dimension, stimulus stage, momentum beyond the exploiting the dual layered scaffolding framework. So first one is for first layer is visual scaffolding via Canva. So we're using the raw Israel data. So the filter and organized, and then we use for the timeline. It's in Malay we call it a chronology. Okay, and then we're using the infographic. So transform the lengthy textual historical into the structure visual representations. Students process historical data by organizing it into the visual narrative, offloading working memory. Then the second layer is interactive scaffolding via background. So we're using the gamified feedback loop, and then they have peer networks. Okay, interact with the students and the immediate feedback when we get the result. So reinforce the visual learning is toward the formative feedback interactive task for engagement and prevent the emotions. So this one is a methodological gap in the current edited literature. So proven efficiency. So I using the previous studies. For example, Hamavin Hashim Abedin proved that Canva increased the classical mastery from 31% to 100% and boost motivation in the non-visual objects like history. Present fractions, current intervention face technical limitation, premium paywalls, hardware. The heavy depends on the teacher design the creativity. When we see the gap we will get is existing literature is heavily reliant and a self-reported perception surveys and lack of quantitative pre and post correlates academic performance with a multidimensional, which one is behavioral, emotional, cognitive, and engagement. So research architecture, the instrument we're using, the first one is baseline, established. So we start with the pre-test. The second one is intervention. So we're using the topic 20th century Malayan economical social via Canva and background. So forget the achievement, history achievement test. We're using 20 items, multiple choice and structure essay, and interval scale and data measuring direct to academic mastery. The mastery measurement, we're using the post test. So after post test, we get the engagement assessment, digital engagement questionnaire. So we use 15 items, 5 point Likert scale, the audience dimensional for using for justify the emotional, behavioral, and cognitive. So question one. So with the question one, we analyze, then we get the marks for pre-test and post-test. So pre-test mean is 48.5, feeling average. So the second one is post-test mean is 78.3, competent of mastery. So statistical power is significant in 0.01. So intervention. So intervention drove students from the failing baseline to reboost the understanding of complex externary effect or indicate their systematic pedagogical update. Question 2. Sustaining the multidimensional engagement. The first one is behavior. So behavior, we get the 3.73 over 5. Student actively participate in the preset to got the task and complete the assignment on time. The second one is emotional. So for emotional, reduce the boredom and increase the excitement, uh, heighten the confidence in mastering 20th century of history. So for this one, we get same point like a behavior. So for cognitive, higher score indicate deep the scheme of processing, self-regulation, and decoding of complex historical timelines or more the surface memorization. So digital scaffolding successfully fostered the uniformly positive learning, the overcoming the emotional disengagement and typical of traditional history chapter. Now for the question 3, the engagement of products. So present correlation is 0.004, effectively zero relationship. So the consultancy of exhibition of a higher level of self-reported engagement did not predict higher academic scores. So students rated their engagement like they score the students to the engagement. Unpacking the data, resolving the paradox. So for this, we can get the range of registration. The correlation is flat because every single student was highly engaged, and a score is clustered tightly between 3.0 and 4.0 with a no low engagement group compared with against the statistical variance of display. The pedagogical reality, if the engagement didn't cause the 29.5% of score variance, what did? Engagement is merely pre-requested. It is the students in the door and outcomes the novelty of effect. The cognitive researching, the actual driver are the massive academic gains using the Canva and the background in history topic. Okay, the final one is a statistic implement of the students' education, humanities education. So design over the declaration is technology should not just digitalize the textbook. It must be restructured them. The visual scaffolding like Canva is strictly to reduce the cognitive load and map complex narrative, not just make a slide look pretty. The layer system is visual tools alone are insufficient. They must be paired with the interactive feedback loops like a background to sustain the behavior, the behavioral emotional momentum once the initial novelty of the software wears off. The third one is re-evaluating the engagement. Policy must be stopped using student engagement as the solo metric in edutech success to academic transformers. Okay, that's all for explanation about my research proposal brief. Okay, if anything I'm using the uh, wrong anything wrong, I apologize. So that's all for me. Thank you so much.